Hi, I'm Steely, the Texican, Mexican food fanatic. We are going to dive into the rich history of Mexican food and see where the transition was from authentic Mexican food to what we now know as Tex-Mex. First up, we're gonna have authentic Mexican enchiladas that are gonna be soaked in chili pepper sauce and filled with shredded chicken and cheese. And then we're gonna compare that to the Tex-Mex version of enchiladas, which are gonna be filled with chili and covered in queso. I've grown up with amazing Mexican style food, whether it was tamales, tacos, gorditas, you name it. I've had it, as have most Texans. But what a lot of people don't know is that the food that they grew up knowing as Mexican food is really considered Tex-Mex. There is a distinguishable difference between Mexican food and Tex-Mex. So today we are going to dive in and kind of compare Tex-Mex and Mexican food with a classic, enchiladas. So let's get started.
For authentic enchiladas, you're going to start by sauteing sliced boneless chicken breast in a frying pan with 4 tablespoons of olive oil over medium heat. Then add 2 cloves of crushed garlic and cook for 15 minutes and then set aside.
No one can say how old this traditional Mexican dish is, but apparently it dates back all the way to the pre-Columbian era. It was very popular for Mayans to wrap other foods in corn tortillas. Now we're going to start the Tex-Mex enchiladas. The Tex-Mex is a fusion between American and Mexican food, caused from the Tejano culture. The Tejano culture started whenever Anglos, or Americans, started to migrate south to what we now know as Texas. Once they got there, they started putting their own twist on Mexican cuisine, such as using ground beef.
To start, you're basically making chili. So we're going to do 1 pound of meat, since we're already making another batch of enchiladas, and then we're going to add about half a package of taco seasoning. You can add as little and as much as you'd like, but once it's done, we're going to set this aside.
Apparently it wasn't until 1831 that enchiladas were mentioned for the first time. It was in the cookbook, El Cocinero Mexicano, which stands for the Mexican chef. Now let's start making the sauce for the Mexican enchiladas. So I drained the chicken and I put it aside because in a minute we're going to be shredding it. But now we're going to be toasting these peppers.
So we're going to lightly toast the peppers by pressing them with a spatula, but being careful not to burn them. It literally only takes a second on each side.
When they're finished toasting, we're going to put them in this pot of boiling water for about 20 minutes. Whenever the peppers are finished, we are going to drain them, let them cool for another 20 minutes, and while they're cooling, we're going to start making our queso to put on our Tex-Mex enchiladas.
So in a pot, you're going to add your onion and cook until soft, so about 5 minutes. Then you're going to add your jalapeno and garlic and cook until fragrant, so about 1 more minute. So now you're going to add milk, about a spoonful of flour, and your cheese. I personally do shredded American, pepper jack, and Velveeta cheese, but you can do whatever cheese you choose. After that, you're going to stir in your diced tomatoes and cilantro. You can add green chilies if you'd like, which I love and would recommend, but I currently didn't have any, so we're making this do. Once you've done this, you're going to set it aside and shred the chicken. We'll be back. Welcome back, y'all. Now that the queso is finishing and the chicken is shredded and peppers have been cooled, we're going to keep working on the chili pepper sauce, which makes the authentic Mexican enchiladas. We're going to add 2 cloves of crushed garlic and some diced tomatoes into a pan and saute them for 5 minutes.
Good. After 5 minutes, we're going to add 4 cups of water and stir regularly for 20 minutes. While this is simmering, we're going to start our tortillas.
First, we're going to go ahead and preheat the oven to 350.
So in a skillet, you're going to put about half a cup of corn oil, and then you're going to start frying your corn tortillas.
Corn tortillas are usually fried before being garnished with either chicken, beef, beans, or cheese. This mode of preparation has evolved over time. The enchiladas that we know them today are the result of various influences. So you want to fry them until they're golden brown, making sure they can still be folded without breaking. I'm going to do about 20 tortillas, 10 for both recipes.
Once it's been 20 minutes, you're going to get the sauce and the peppers, and you're going to blend everything together. Now to put everything together.
We're going to start with the chili enchiladas. So you're going to put some chili in a tortilla and add some cheese, and then you're going to roll it up, putting the open part at the bottom so they stay together. The Tex-Mex enchiladas take a little bit longer in the oven. They take about 30 minutes versus the Mexican enchiladas that only take 15 minutes, so that's why we're doing the chili enchiladas first. After you've rolled up all of your tortillas, you're going to pour the remaining chili on top. Now it's time to pour on the queso, my favorite part. And the last step is to put them in the oven for 30 minutes.
Now for the authentic Mexican enchiladas. So we're going to start off by dipping the tortillas in the sauce.
Once you've dipped the tortilla in the sauce, you're going to make sure it gets all lathered up on there. Add your cheese and chicken, and then roll it up the same way as the Tex-Mex enchiladas. Once all the tortillas are rolled up, you're going to pour the remainder of the sauce on top. And then you're going to sprinkle on a little bit more cheese. Now these only go in the oven for 15 minutes.
Now that the hard part's over, it's time to either relax or pick up the kitchen. We'll be back. I would like to point out that if you don't want to have to go through the task of making your own enchilada sauce for the authentic Mexican enchiladas, you can buy this at the store instead. But for the purposes of this video, I decided to make the sauce from scratch. If you could just smell my kitchen right now, these are definitely a labor of love, but once you taste them, they're well worth it.
Don't take my word for it though. I'm going to have my mom and sister try these enchiladas and see if they can distinguish between which enchilada is Tex-Mex and which one is authentic Mexican. What people don't realize is that authentic Mexican food has been influenced by Spain, Africa, and China because of previous colonization. It turns out that the influence of Asian people into Mexico started in the 1560s.
Very good.
After the Spanish conquered Mexico, they were looking for what they called the Spice Islands, which is now the Philippines. So now in Mexico, there's Chinese cafes, coffee shops, restaurants. But the funny thing is that if you go into a Chinese restaurant, you'll find enchiladas alongside chop suey, as well as forks and chopsticks.
So Sterling, can you tell which one is the authentic Mexican enchilada and which one's the Tex-Mex?
Authentic Tex-Mex.
Okay. Okay, Mom, so do you prefer the authentic Mexican enchiladas or the Tex-Mex enchiladas?
I prefer the Tex-Mex enchiladas.
Okay. Well, you guys heard it straight from them. I hope you try these enchilada recipes for yourself. But now, it's time for some tacos. I love making tacos because they're so easy, but they allow you to be so creative to what you add to them. So let's go.
This is one of the tastiest dishes you could make. A distinction between Tex-Mex versus Mexican food is in the spices used to flavor it. Cumin is used all the time in Tex-Mex. However, in Mexican food it isn't as common. They use chili peppers, oregano, and cilantro. And I'll let you in on a little secret. We use Worcestershire and soy sauce to season our carne asada. Now that our meat's seasoned, let's start cooking. Tex-Mex tacos are usually made with a flour or hard corn shell and filled with ground beef, tomatoes, lettuce, and shredded cheese. Think of Taco Bell. Mexican tacos are always on corn tortilla and filled with meat like carne asada, which is what we're using tonight, and topped with cilantro, lime, and onion. One of the most notable differences between Tex-Mex and Mexican food is the ingredients used. Tex-Mex is known for using yellow cheese. You won't see that in traditional Mexican dishes because they only use white cheese. So if you see cheddar in a Mexican dish, you know it's Tex-Mex. Now that the meat's done cooking, it's time to warm up those tortillas and add up the fixings. I will personally be making authentic Mexican tacos with corn tortillas, carne asada, cilantro, onion, and white cheese. When talking about Mexican versus Tex-Mex food, although they both have their differences, they're both super important to culture and both delicious. Like Ileana de la Vega states, either Tex-Mex or Mexican food, we can all live together. As long as it's well-prepared food, why not?